friends, and welcome back to my homestead. This is Easter weekend and it's a very exciting time in our household. We love Resurrection Sunday. It's one of our favorite holidays in our family. And what is better way to celebrate the Resurrection Sunday than to make and bake one of our favorites, sweet breads that we always bake in our family, and it's called Kulish. Kulish or Paska, depends on how you call it. And it's a Slavic bread, a sweet bread with raisins. It's so soft, it's so fluffy. When you eat it, it's almost like eating a cloud. It's absolutely delicious, and it's time to make it. So I'm gonna start the dough, and I'm gonna prepare everything as much as I can here at my house, but I'm gonna finish it and bake it at my friend's house who have an outdoor oven, one of those brick ovens, and that's where I'm gonna bake it. Now, you don't have to bake it in a brick oven. You can always do it in your own regular stationary ovens that you have, and I'll give you directions how I normally do it in my own oven. But today I want to do it a very special way. So we're going to start by making the starter, and it's a very simple way. Basically what we have to do is we're going to take some warm water. I have 100 mLs of warm water. How warm? Literally, it's like pleasant to the finger. Not too cold, not too hot. Because if you put it too hot, it may kill the yeast. So I'm just gonna pour that in a larger container. I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of dried yeast. 2 tablespoons of dry yeast. You can put less if you want, but I like my breads to be very fluffy. 2 tablespoons of that, and I'm gonna put a tablespoon of regular white sugar. Why? Because the yeast likes to eat something while it's developing. And just a tablespoon of regular all-purpose flour, and I have some white non-bleached organic flour. I'm just gonna mix everything together so it's nicely incorporated, and I'm gonna set it aside in a warm place for about 7, 10, 12 minutes. Hopefully I don't forget about it, because it's going to rise and create a nice soft hat, but make sure that it does not collapse, meaning that the yeast doesn't overwork, because then it's not gonna create that good bread. So I'm gonna put it in a warm place. A couple of suggestions where you can put it. Either you can put it on top of a radiator where it's nice and warm, producing heat in your house. You can put it in a microwave, put a cup of hot water, shut the door, and tell your family, do not use the microwave for the next 10 minutes. It's gonna create that little oven feel for it. But I'm gonna put it in my oven for a bread proofing setting for next 10 minutes and let it rise. Okay, so let me tell you the ingredients that gonna go into this sweet Kulish bread that we have. So we started the starter, right? And you already guys saw the starter. But we're going to need 2 sticks of soft butter, not melted, but soft, very, very soft. 6 eggs yolks, actually, not 6 eggs, 6 egg yolks and 1 whole egg. I'm gonna separating those. 1 cup of sugar, and I have regular plain white sugar. 1 cup of whole fat, the real deal sour cream. Don't skip on the full fatness. You really need that good full fat. We're gonna need zest of either 1 lime or 1 lemon, or of orange, and this is an orange, and I really prefer to use the orange. It's about a tablespoon in here. 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and this is my homemade vanilla that I make. What else? 2.5 cups of flour, and it's already here sitting ready for me. It's regular white organic unbleached flour. And then we have a cup of raisins, and my raisins are kind of large, and if you prefer to cut them in half you can, but I'm going to leave them just the way they are. But I do need to soak them in boiling water for about 20 minutes for them to rehydrate. So while I'm working in a dough, I'm just going to pour boiling water that I have just to rehydrate, set them aside and let them do their thing. After rehydrating, I will drain them and get the excess fluid out of them, but let them sit aside for now. Okay, so the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to be separating the eggs, and I've got to separate 6 egg yolks. Okay, we need 6 yolks. Let me see, I have a container here. All right, 6 egg yolks. This is a very special bread. We bake this only for Easter. And every Slavic family, Russian, Ukrainian, we have our own recipe. My mama had her own recipe. This is my recipe. This is not exactly mama's recipe, but this is my recipe, and I hope to pass this on to my daughters. But every year, oh, that my starter is ready. It's proofing in the oven right now. I gotta take it out. Mama baked this bread every single year for us, and it's something very special and brings all these memories. All right, so I've separated the 6 yolks here, and I'm gonna keep 1 egg whole. All right. Okay, so everything is ready for me. So first things first, I'm going to whip the butter together with sugar, and I'm going to be using a standing mixer like this because it's easier for me. But if you choose to use other kind of mixers, that's fine. So 2 sticks of soft butter. I'm gonna go in here. All right, come over here. I hear you. The oven lets me know that it's ready to take out the starter because it does not want to overproof and accidentally. Let me take it out. Oh, geez. Oh, goodness. Wow, it's about to run out. Look at that. Goodness gracious. I'm gonna put him right here. Let him sit and rest for a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna whip the butter with sugar until it's nice and fluffy. So give me a minute. Okay, and now I'm gonna be adding the eggs one at a time, a couple at a time. Let them incorporate together. The next ingredient, I'm gonna add the sour cream. And it's full fat sour cream. I believe that sour cream is the one that actually gives my dough to be that very soft consistency. All right, so the sour cream is in, mix it. Okay, now I'm gonna drop the zest of an orange here. And it's gonna add that beautiful, beautiful, fresh citrus flavor and aroma to my bread. Before the starter completely runs away, look at the mess it's making. I'm not kidding, look at that. I gotta dump it in here. So let me put everything in here right now. All this mess, I've gotta scrape everything. And I only held it for 10 minutes, goodness gracious. All right, let me just scrape everything here. A little bit more here on the side. Come on, get in there. Okay. Again, I'm going to mix it together. Okay, and now I'm going to be adding the vanilla. And I have 2 teaspoons of my homemade vanilla that I make. Oh, it's so fragrant, so good. 2 teaspoons. You may put less if you don't like so much, but we really like the vanilla taste. Okay, just last mix before I add the flour. Okay, and now I'm going to be adding the flour. I'm going to do it in portions. I don't have to do it all at once, okay? Probably like 1/3 at a time. So now I'm gonna let this dough mix in the mixer for the next 10 minutes on low and gentle for 10 minutes. So this is why if you choose to do this manually with the whisk or with a spoon, it's gonna take you a long time, probably close to half an hour, maybe even 40 minutes. But I'm gonna put it on the mixer, let the machine do all the heavy lifting, and it's gonna mix for the next 10 minutes. And I'll show you what happens after that. Okay, so this has been mixing for 10 minutes. And guess what? Now this dough right here in the mixing bowl, I'm gonna cover that with a plastic cover. Okay, food grade plastic cover. And I'm gonna let it rest for 10 minutes. Just like that. It's not really rising time, it just allows for the gluten to develop. Okay, so I'm gonna cover that just like this. All right. And I'm gonna repeat this process of beating, resting, 3 times. Okay, 3 times. So it already been mixing for 10 minutes, and now it's gonna rest for 10 minutes. I'm gonna set the timer. And after 10 minutes, I'm going to mix it again for 10 minutes, rest for 10 minutes, beat for 10 minutes, rest for 10 minutes, okay? So, and only after the 3rd time of mixing, I'm gonna be adding the raisins and letting the dough rise. Isn't that something? It's a very interesting process, and I really like this process. This comes out my favorite type of bread. So I changed the whip in the mixer to a dough hook, and I put it in low setting, and I'm whipping it for the 2nd time. But because we've decided to bake a bigger batch, my husband is volunteering to do a manual whipping, and this is how you can do it manually for about half an hour, which is a long time. It's going to build a lot of muscle. But this is how you can do it manually as well if you don't have a mixer. So I have strained the raisins. They've been soaking for about 25 minutes or so, and they become nice and soft. But I want to get rid of the extra moisture that's in here. So I'm just going to pour it on a towel and let them kind of like lose extra moisture they have, and let them dry up for a minute or 2. So while the dough is resting, let me show you the containers that I'm going to be needing to bake this bread. Because Russian or Ukrainian Kulish bread has to resemble that peak of a church, you know, that cylinder peak with the little dome at the top. So we like to use the cylinder containers. Something like this is going to make a bigger size Kulish, so it's going to bake a little longer. But if you don't have these special forms, you can always use containers from, you know, your canned goods or whatever. The only problem is this one has ridges. See that? So it's not the ideal one. So if you have the flat surface one, it would be better, and make sure that the rim is flush as well, none of those sticking out ones. So you can use the little ones such as this 14-15 ounce containers from corn, peas, beans, whatever, or a little bigger one. But so because I'm trying to avoid seeing these ridges, I'm going to line everything inside with a parchment paper. So I'm going to be cutting out the bottom shape and the shape all the way around, and I'm going to be buttering everything before I put the dough into it. So it's going to take me a little while to cut out all these forms. Okay, so my dough needs to rise after all of the beating, and while it's still beating, I need a chance to oil my large bowl for the rising. So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil, and I'm going to oil all of the sides and the bottom very well. Not too much that it's pooling on the bottom, but a generous amount, so the dough, when it's rising in here, will not stick. I just like to prepare everything ahead of time, let it sit and be ready for me. So the last mixing is done. So after 3rd mix, this is the time when I'm going to actually put the dough on a well floured surface, and I'm going to be adding my raisins. All right, so let me just take everything off. It's still very, very soft dough. It's almost like batter rather than dough. I don't know why. Usually it comes out a little bit thicker for me, but today, I don't know. It's kind of very thin. It still sticks to the bottom. All right, so let me just put everything here. It's almost like a glue-like. See, it's created that gluten in it. Okay, so let me just put everything on the table. I remember Mama working with this dough without any machines, and she did everything manually, and it always was stuck to her fingers. I will never forget that. And she would take the back of her knife to scrape her fingers. That's the memory I have. All right, so if you don't want this to stick to your fingers very much, you can oil your hands just a little bit. Okay, oh, that's too much. And so I'm just gonna spread the dough a little bit, and I'm gonna put the raisins in here. So I'm gonna make like a square type of thing. My dried up raisins, spread them all around evenly. I'm going to cover this so it doesn't get dry, and I'm going to put it in a warm place to rise until it doubles in size, okay? Which is probably going to take about 2 or 2.5 hours, and then I'll show you what it looks like after. Okay, so now we are at our friend's house, Mike and Anna, and they graciously allowed us to bake. And they graciously allowed us to bake our Easter Kulish bread in their beautiful brick oven. So Mike, would you like to introduce your oven? Here's Mike.
Yes, well, thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been a lifelong dream to be on one of your videos. So finally happy to make this happen. And I see I see a whole series coming forward, people. Hang on. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that button. So let's talk about the oven a little bit here. Well, this is a 42-inch wide oval oven, Pompeii style oven, Italian. But
it's a pizza oven.
Yeah, we built it during the COVID crisis. Had nothing to do, and it came out really well. We've cooked so many different things out of it. But today will be a first for your bread. It'll be a
first.
For
the sweet bread, yes,
right.
Because Kulish bread requires very low temperatures. 340, 345, maybe 350, like that's the most that I like to bake at. But unfortunately, as Mike will show you, controlling and regulating temperature in a pizza oven this size is a little bit more difficult. It's not like you turn the knob and you change the temperature, because this is, fire going. And normally we wait for the coals to kind of like just be cold, no more fire, right?
Right.
Because it's not the fire that's cooking it, as you said before.
Correct. The oven is heated, and then the heat that's stored in the walls cook whatever you're cooking. So right now, for instance,
that's almost 600.
we've got 592.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you shoot it over here, 476.
That's a little bit lower. That's 440 something. But again, that's a little bit too high. So we have to wait for the coals to kind of like die down a little bit and get a little comfortable. And it's perfect, because right now the dough is still sitting in the house in a warm environment and rising up. Because once it rises up I'm going to put them in the forms that I'm going to be baking in. And then inside those forms, they're going to be rising again for about an hour again until they double in size. And only at that point, we're going to bake. I'm a little bit concerned because it's kind of cold today and windy. And as you guys know, yeast dough does not like wind, cold, none of that. It likes warmth. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be very experimental. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so stay tuned. So the dough is rising and it's pretty much doubled in size. So pretty soon I'm going to take it out. Look how big it got. Pretty much I'm going to take it out soon and start setting it in my little baking forms. This dough is absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness. just like my mama's. First of all, look how yellow it is. And it's simply just from the homegrown eggs because they're free-ranged chickens laying beautiful dark eggs. So I need to take this out on the surface if I want to, or I can just pinch it from here, and I have to fill up my forms. Check out these forms that I have, and they're all different. So this is actually a stone one. This one is after some sort of a vegetable can. This is a little bit bigger, but I also have these tiny little paper ones that I got from a Ukrainian online store, and they like a parchment paper. I don't know how it's going to work in a wood stove. They might catch on fire and burn. I have no idea, but I do use them all the time in my oven when I bake at home. I need to start filling them up, and I'm going to fill them up about 1/3. Okay, if I put any more, like a half, there's a chance that it's going to drip over and create too much, and it can burn. So I'm gonna just take a good pinch. Okay, still sticks a little bit to my hands. For some reason, I was talking to my husband and my friend Anna this morning, is that for some reason this particular dough was very, very soft, almost like that's not enough. I'm gonna put more. Almost like not dough, but more like batter. So I'm using a new type of flour. So perhaps it was the flour that caused it, because normally this recipe works very well, whereas just 2.5 cups for this recipe. I always try to push the raisins a little bit under so the raisins don't burn, and push it down. And now I'm gonna set them aside and let them all rise again. All right, I'm gonna pinch off again. Okay, and I'm gonna try to fold it so the raisins are kind of on the inside rather than on the outside. And I'm gonna drop them into my forms. And I have the parchment paper on the inside, on the bottom, and everything has been buttered with butter. You can use oil if you like. You can use Crisco, but I like to use just butter. I feel like I'm gonna add a little bit more. Yeah, this dough is awfully soft. Normally it's not this soft. It sticks way too much to my hands. I should have probably added more flour, but I didn't want to make very firm dough. Okay, just like this, I'm gonna let it rise. So the temperature is about 400 or so, and I think it's perfect time for us to put the bread is in the oven. So the big ones I'm gonna put towards the back. Mike, would you push them back there?
Sure.
And the little ones we're gonna put in the front and see what happens.
Use this to push them back.
Oh, you have a special pusher? Oh my goodness, looks beautiful already.
Now let's look at the temperature over there. Right between those two cans is 450. Just the front of it is 350.
Oh goodness. Okay, well, yeah, let's put the bigger ones towards the back.
You want to talk about this?
Oh yeah, we're gonna try to do one in just like in a mason jar and see what happens. See if it works, because I know it works in a regular oven, but this is not the regular oven. This reminds me how Mama used to bake Kulish when a long time ago back in Latvia. It was done every single Easter. Brings so many memories. And those little ones we're gonna put in the front because they should be done quicker. So the little ones should be done probably close to 25 minutes to half an hour, where the bigger ones will probably bake 40 minutes or so, maybe 45 minutes.
No, we can probably. No,
Why, you want to leave them on the tray?
Yeah, we'll take them off.
I'll take them off, okay.
Wow, that floor is hot.
Yeah, hopefully the bottom doesn't burn.
We have a remedy for that.
You mean the cutting off the remedy?
That's it.
All right, so we're gonna close them up and we'll see them in about 20 minutes at least. Look how pretty. Can you see them? Yay! I love it. Okay, close them up, Mike. Okay, let's check out on the little ones. They may or may not need more time, but it's been 24 minutes in the oven. So let's take a look. Take one out. Let's do a little testaroo. I think it's done. I think the little ones are done. Can we check that guy right there? Mike, you're turning into a professional baker. Yeah! I think it's done. Let's take them out. Let's check out the little ones. What do you say about the smell? How do they smell?
The smell is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. Oh, I think it's because I added a little citrus. You can see little specks of orange zest. Smells so good. And they did not burn. My little paper thingies did not burn.
Look at this.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Come on. Oh, I wish Mama could see this. Oh my goodness. So good. So the Paski or Kulishi are ready and they're nicely baked. Some of them came out a little funny shaped, but it's fine. They're still delicious. And what happened was when we took them out of the hot oven, and because it was so cold outside, some of them literally began to collapse a little bit, so they lost its height. But again, it's fine. They're still super soft and still super delicious. So now they're cooling off on the rack, and now it's time for me to create the topping. Okay, so it's not the frosting like you think about, but it's gonna look like white frosting. So remember those egg whites I had left over? Well, here they are, my egg whites. And I'm just gonna beat the egg whites with a pinch of citric acid, just a pinch, okay? And sugar, powdered sugar. So I have about a cup of powdered sugar here. I'm not really measuring, I'll be honest, but it's about a cup. Okay, close to a cup, I think. And I'm gonna beat that together. So it's beginning to form soft peaks like that. So at this point, see, it's very soft. It's not peaks just yet. I have a packet of gelatin that I just diluted in water, and I'm gonna pour that in there as well. That's gonna help to keep its shape. And beat some more. All right, so now to decorate them, either you can literally dip them just like that. Okay. And if something drips down, it's okay. All right, just lightly dip them and let them air dry. For some reason, this is how we decorate them. Now, some people don't like to use the egg whites because of the raw egg situation, but this is how we grew up doing. And because I add a little bit of citric acid, I don't know if that really helps to preserve it, but this is it. And trust me, it's not gonna last in our house. It's definitely gonna be eaten by tomorrow. It's perfect to be served for breakfast with a hot cup of tea or coffee. So you may want to decorate them in any way you want to, or you may just choose to leave them just like this. But I'm going to decorate a couple of them with just some little bit of sprinkles. So we have some cute little sprinkles here. So friends, I hope you're having a wonderful Easter season. I hope you're blessed. I hope you're safe. And I hope you are encouraged and try something new.